Hey guys, welcome back. I'm just about ready to polar align, so I'm going to go ahead and hit connect. Go ahead and bump this up a little bit. Had to find a good spot to put my light and the camera without blocking my Polemaster here, which is basically, if you're unfamiliar, a small camera that will point at the North Celestial Pole. And then if I tell it, or if I tell the software exactly what the rotation of my mount looks like, it'll be able to figure out what the central axis of rotation is, and I'll be able to polar align that way. And it usually takes only like 5 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Basically, with Polemaster, you set your exposure and gain, and then that just kind of helps you see the various stars that you want to look at. So here I have Polaris centered in view. Go ahead and hit the left arrow a few times to get all the little stars in view. I know you probably don't have the greatest view, but I'm doing my best here. So, does match success? That's a good question. I'd say so. Would you like to use the axis center position recorded last time you used Polemaster? No, because who knows, that could have been bumped a little bit. Things might not be perfectly the same, so I'm going to say no. If I can wait for a moment for this wind to die down. Out here in the grasslands, there's only a couple things out here. It's like some sand and grass and a ton of wind. So now you go ahead and select a star other than Polaris. So if Polaris is here in the center, then you want to go off kind of to the left or so to this bright one. Obviously that'll be different for you. So go ahead and double click that. So now that I have my star selected, I'm going to rotate the mount in the direction that they wanted me to, which is clockwise. And they usually want a minimum of 30 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and go about here. I'd say that's good. Now my star, of course, is moved all the way up here. I know you probably can't see my screen very well, and I forgot to get some screen recording software, so next time. Cool. Now that I've done that, I'm going to double click the star that I selected before. Obviously it's in a different spot, so you got to make sure you're watching where it goes. Basically you give it a point to look at, and now I've got another 30 degrees or so. Double click the star again, and now I don't know if you can completely see it, but this gives me a green circle, of which basically the center is the axis of rotation of my mount. And hopefully when I tell the mount to park itself, which will be back to its main home position, this star should follow that green line. So let's see if it does that. Park scope, park to home position. It might not even go back to being straight up and down. I'm pretty sure it probably will, but sometimes the encoders get a little wonky, or who knows. The mount just doesn't like to play nice sometimes. And it decided to play nice tonight. So let's see if that continues. So my star followed my green circle, which is good. It means that I have a good central point here for what my rotation axis is. So now that I have parked, I'm going to cancel the park and tell my software that the central axis is correct. So now I'm going to go ahead and double click Polaris again. I'm trying to speak over this wind a little bit. I'm going to park my car kind of in the way of the wind. That way the wind won't directly be kind of bumping in, to the mount and shaking the wires. And I know this is a beautiful cable management job. It's not, but every time I come out here, I have to reconnect everything. I'm gonna figure out a different system for that because I'm getting a little tired of having to plug in everything every time. So let's go ahead and continue this. Double click Polaris, use the rotate slider, or you can use your arrow keys, which is much nicer. So now that I have all my stars centered in each one of these little circles, I'm going to go ahead and tell it that the match succeeded. And now using the altitude and azimuth bolts, altitude bolt, azimuth bolt, azimuth, altitude, I will basically put the star that's here into the little dot up here. Well, move the mount around a little bit. So I'll go ahead and adjust where I'm sitting a little. Okay, let's go up. I like having two little previews here. So you have basically this little circle up here, which shows me basically a zoomed in view of wherever my cursor is. So I can put that over the little spinning circle that the software is telling me to put Polaris to, and I'm almost there. I'm very close. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick. On the nose. I like kind of tightening this one so that the star kind of overshoots, and then tightening the backside bolt so that I kind of force the, compress the mount down to be kind of locked on to where the star is. And I'm gonna give that another little half quarter turn. Start moving it to the side a little. That was too far. Right in the middle. It's about as close as I can get right now. Has adjustment finished? Yes. Finished. Now it asks me to double click Polaris again. So I'll do that. If I can get the cursor in the middle. Now that I've done that, the template should be kind of in the same spot as before, so all your stars should be in the center, unless you really, had to change things in terms of where your Polaris was compared to where the center of your rotation axis was, and where Polemaster software wants you to put the star. So I'll say success. So now I hit the start monitor button, and then that gives me another view, basically a little more even closer zoomed in, which basically shows me that the pole is not quite where the central axis is. Of course, when I move things around, it'll appear like the pole is what's moving. Obviously, it's just the mount. Go ahead and adjust this one. A little too far. Back it off ever so slightly. Now we're pretty much good in terms of left to right. I have to adjust the altitude bolts slightly. Cool, so now I'm polar aligned, and it was that easy. From the looks of things, it only took a few minutes, so let's go ahead and keep on trucking. The nice thing about Polemaster is that you can leave it plugged in the entire time you're imaging, and you can monitor your polar alignment throughout the night, just in case the ground settled a little bit, maybe your mount's on some softer soil and it kind of settled over a little bit of time. Now you're not necessarily right on the pole, so that's obviously not good. And but for now, we're still looking good.